Nobody likes being fake, but that's how most music producers sound when they use MIDI horn sections. Cheap. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how I like to mix my horns to sound just as realistic as possible. And you might be thinking, whoa, hold up. This dude don't got no Grammys, so how does he know anything? I've been intentionally listening to horns for about 20 years. So if anyone can tell the difference between a Logic stock program versus the real thing, it's gonna be me. So let's get started. And we're gonna show all this to you in under 300 seconds.
Okay, so first things first, we're going to need to add some layers because this is not going to cut it. Think of this step as the raw shaping of your sculpture because we're starting off with this block of MIDI notes here in its most basic form and we're going to evolve it into something greater. Without these kinds of steps, your horns are going to sound just as lifeless as this. Oh God, mechanical, unrealistic, and the clear giveaway about this is that it just does not sound human. The way we fix this though is through layering because no horn player or human plays the exact same way, and adding some articulation. First, let's layer some more horn samples. We have Sessions Pro here, Vintage Horns, and we also have Glory Days by Orchestral Tools. And if you actually look at the horn section of Bruno Mars, there's at least 2 trumpets, a trombone, and a saxophone. We doubled up on the bass just because it's normally really hard to hear. Sounds fuller, but after we add in our layers,
that was easy.
But as we listen to the actual recording, they sound a lot tighter and there's some different articulations that are going on. Articulations is just the phrasing of how you play a note. We're going to use something called key switches. First note's going to be longer than the second. You can bring down all these notes down to the key switches so that each and every note has its own flavor or articulation. We're gonna need another layer. Sounds better. Now if we go to the trombones, same thing. Tenor sax.
Oh my.
Sounds way better than this over here. The last human element that we're going to add is going to be microshift. Microshift is really great with how all the horns are played when it comes to tuning. No one plays in perfect pitch, especially with a wind instrument. So even though they're all playing the same notes and technically are triggered at the same time, that micro timing makes it a little bit off. Again, we're trying to mimic live players. You can already hear the difference is starting to come to life now. Next step we need to do is add expression and dynamic control. Using velocity and automation can help do this, and we can automate this by making some of the notes softer than others. Because as a horn player, that's how I would attack it to make it more dynamic. To ramp on these notes, it'll be ever so slightly. The last thing we need to do is put all the horns in the same room using a plate reverb, which is great for vocals as well. Adding this detail makes things less artificial. And if we're looking at the stage, trumpets are on the right, so we're gonna angle this a little bit towards the right. Trombones on the far left. Let's put the saxophones close to in the middle, not too much. Dip in the mid-range ever so slightly. The trombones are a little bit powerful. Saturator. Let's try it again. A little too bright. More cleanup on the EQ. The low frequencies are still a little bit high, and the mids. And last but not least, we're going to add a little bit of fresh air. Adds that extra sheen. To me, this gives that vintage feel because a lot of microphones of that era weren't able to pick up those low, rich frequencies as well. Normally aren't used for that. Dipping some more of those mids. And last but not least, we're a compressor to make sure that everything is still relatively tight. Now let's listen to it in context. And there you have it, horns that would fool most, if not all people.